I want to discuss a little bit the idea that's kind of popular today to see if there's any truth to this idea and how does it exactly work, which is the idea of, people talk about this idea of manifesting, that somehow a person has a certain vision, a certain understanding, a certain conception in their mind of what should be, and somehow that materializes into their life. To understand this, if it's true, and how exactly does it work? So first thing to understand is that we are creations. That's the first principle. There's a creator of life. Hashem is the creator of life. And the creator is the source, what brings things and engenders things into being. And we are created from the creator. So on the level of creation, we don't have the power to create. Because the definition of creation is that we are the effect of an original cause. So as an effect, we're receiving from life and not projecting into life. However, since we are created also with a soul, that's on a level of body, a level of our body consciousness, but we're also connected a soul, which means that we have Etzelem Elokim, a divine spark, but even more than that, we have a chelik elokah, divine aspect within ourselves, kind of a part of the divine, a part of the creator within us. So when we connect with that spark within us, and we connect through that spark within us, which is the nitzatz nivra, the spark of creation that's created and is one with the nitzatz boira, in the language of the Mittler Rebbe, the idea of this connectivity of the inner within the outer, and the outer with the inner. We connect with that divine spark, with that creative aspect within ourselves, which is the source of life, the cause of life. Then we too become possible creators of our existence, or co-creators in our existence. In the classic language of Chazal, when the sages speak about creation, talk about the idea of keeping Shabbos and the process of creating in Shabbos. So the phrase is that we become a shutaf lakadosh baruch hu l'maaseh bereishis. We become a partner in co-creating this creation, in bettering this world. That our task in life is not only that we should be recipients of creation and being open to the dialogue that Hashem is giving to us, the Creator is speaking to us through creation, but even more than that we should be a co-creator with the creative power, with the Creator's power, to create a better world, to further the world. Asher bara Elokim l'saken, that the world is created, lasis l'saken, was created to be, to become, to perfect. And that's part of the tikkun, that part of our perfection in the world as large, and the tikkun aprati in our particular own level of our consciousness, our development. So the way this idea of manifesting works is that since we are connected to the Creator, and we have a part of the Creator's, a spark of Hashem within us. So we'll use the template, the way the Torah describes creation. The way the Torah describes creation, which is the story of creation, in the creation narrative. That first there's, in the way the Torah describes it, first there is a creation in the mind of the Creator, so to speak, in the divine imagination, which is the idea of Olam Machshava. There's first the creation that exists within the world of thought. That's Olam Ak, that's the world of Ak, of Adam Kadmon, of the primordial being, the world the way it exists within the conception of the Creator. And then there's the world that comes about through the speech, through creation. But before there's a creation of speech, which is action, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's dibur is ma'aseh, that the idea of the Hashem's words are like action. Before there's a creation of action, is first the creation, the way it exists within the mind of the Creator. Tosfos speaks about this in the argument between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua when the world was created. In Tishrei or Nisan, Tosfos says that to reconcile these two opinions is that there's a creation which in the thought process, which is first something exists within your mind, and then you actually go out and create it. And Kaviyachol, the same thing similar, is the same thing also with the Creator. The Creator, so to speak, of course this is an analogy, there's something that exists within the Creator's imagination, Kaviyachol, and then it's created. When it talks about the creation of man, Adam Achava, which is Zachar and Nekeva Boris, and this male and female, he created them, this simultaneously, this emergence of this male and female, the first beings called human. The Torah describes it and says, Nasa Adam kit salmenu kid musenu. Let us create man in our image and our imagination, or in our imprint. The word salmenu, in our image, the root of the word salmenu is tzel. Tzel means a shadow, which is like the idea of a person's imagination. So Kaviyachol, there's an image of the creation in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's tzel, in the Creator's tzel, in Hashem's imagination, in the Creator's mind. And then Vayomer Hashem Yadam, and then Hashem said, let there be man. And then there's a creation of man. So creation first begins in thought, in imagination, and then in speech. This is the way the Creator creates. Now we're saying that when a person has Dveikus, has connectivity, and connects with their soul, connects with their neshama, connects with their soul, that's a chelik elokah, that's a part of the divine. That's not just part of the creation, but part of the Creator. So the same process, the way creation emerges into existence, is through first the olam machshav, the thought, and then the speech, and then the actual creation. The same thing is also in terms of our own creation. If we want to manifest reality and we want to create reality, the first step is to experience dveikus, connectivity, cleaving, becoming one with the creative source of life. Once we experience this dveikus, once we experience this connectivity, which is connected through our own inner soul, our own inner psyche, which is part of the Creator, then we connect to this through either through prayer, through tefillah, or through learning Torah, or through doing mitzvahs, which is also the idea of a mitzvah that's tzaf tzavich, which means a connectivity. Once we enter into that state of dveikus, then we use our imagination, just like there's a tzel. So when it speaks about the creation of Adam and Chava, it speaks about Hashem creating with the tzel versus created in a tzel. The same thing also when we create. When it talks about the creation, the first creation of Adam, the first creation of man, which man becomes a shutaf l'maaseh bereishis, becomes a partner, a co-partner in creation. So the same process of the macro, which is the way creation was created, the way Hashem created Adam, is the same way Adam will then create Chava. In the same process where Hashem creates, where the Creator creates creation, is the way creation in its state of dveikus will also create. It's a mirror. The macro is reflected into the micro. So when it speaks about the creation of Chava, which is the first creation, otherness, that's created through Adam, who Adam in this original story is Adam / male, female, but the emergence of Chava as an independent female, the emergence of separation. So the way it was created is first that Vayibol Tardem al Adam, that man, the Adam goes into a state of sleep, which is a state of dream state, so to speak, imagination. And in Adam's dream state, and Adam is Adam / male, female, in Adam's dream state, he imagines, and she imagines the possibility of the otherness. And then there's the creation of the actual otherness, which is the creation of Chava. So, and then in this dream state, in the sleep state, which is the dream state, which is the imagination, Hashem takes one of his tzaloisav. Tzaloisav is generally translated as sides or rib or things like that. But the root of the word tzaloisav is the same root. The Hebrew root of the word tzaloisav is tzel, shadow, side, which is imagination. The same root which is from tzalmenu. So just as Hashem creates, the Creator creates through B'tzalmenu Kidmu saying through the imagination, Salmenu, our imagination, Kaviyachol, as if Hashem creates through His imagination, creates Adam. Adam creates Chava. Adam creates creation, a new creation, through his imagination, through his cell. His cell, through using his cell, his imagination, Tzaloisav, that's the way the emergence of the otherness of Chava emerges. And then Vayikra, and then he calls her, which is the possibility of speech, or the articulation of speech. So it literally mimics each other. Just like in the story of creation, there is the Creator creates through first there's a rising of the possibility and the imagination of the creator to create. And then there's the speaking of it. There's the imagination of the creation, and then there's the speaking creation into being. We also, in the story of Adam and Chava, the first collectives, the first, the paragon of the story of creation, of human participation, and becoming a shutav l'maaseh b'reshus, becoming a partner. That's why the Torah says, "Lo tov yos adam levad." It's not good for man to be alone. And then Adam is intimate with the other animals, whatever that means, or calls them their names. He takes some control over that. And then it says, and it's still man did not find a helper against him, which means that now man is participating in this process of the creation of the otherness, because man/mankind, male and female, recognizes that they are not complete without the other. And then through the sleep state, through the imagination, and then through speech, that's the way the other comes into creation. So in simple language, what we're saying is that there's actually 3 steps, which is important. The 3 steps for a person to use this word to manifest reality, to create reality, to create something new in their lives, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, or even a child, blessings, to create something in their new life. The first thing is they have to experience dveikus. They have to be connected. They have to feel deeply connected to their soul. Again, like we said, to unlock that possibility is through davening, through prayer, through Torah, through studying Torah, through doing ma'aseh mitzvahs, through doing actions, physical actions of mitzvahs that connect us to Hashem. So that's the way we feel the connection. Once we feel connected, we become connected to the energy source, so to speak. Once we become connected to the creative power, the step 2 is the imagination. To have a full and elaborate imagination of what you wish to unfold, what you wish to occur in your life. To dream it, to think it, and to have a desire for it, a cheshek and desire, and to imagine the fullness of all the details of what you're going to create in your life. And then to connect it and wish it and be created to it. And then to actually, that this was actually happens in tefillah, in prayer, and then to speak about it. So the step 1 is the connectivity. Step 2 is the imagination and the cheshek and the desire to create it and to articulate it fully in the full imagination with all the details of what it's going to look like and how you're going to experience it and what's going to feel when you're experiencing it, and then to speak about it, to mimic the same process of the creation process. And this is what happens in tefillah. When a person davens and you say, so the Baal Shem Tov speaks about this idea that when a person prays, when a person davens, the idea of tefillah is that not only are you requesting of Hashem to receive what you wish to receive in this world, which is a mitzvah, not a chutzpah, but a mitzvah. This is what Hashem wants us to be, for us to articulate our dreams. By Vayispala, the idea of prayer, of tefillah, is also connected to imagination, to dreaming. Like Yaakov Avinu speaks about, says in the Torah that he didn't imagine that he's going to see Yosef again, which is the language of tefillah. So tefillah has the element of connectivity. Tefillah malashon tzasavich, but the idea of tefillah means that tefillah is naftulin talti. The idea of tefillah means that it's connection. That's the idea of tefillah, to connect. A teufel klicheres, the idea of unifying. That's what tefillah is. Dveikus, feeling connection. Then is the imagination, to imagine what you wish, and then to speak it. So the Baal Shem Tov says, when a person says Roifei Chol Am Yisrael, when a person says Hashem is the healer of all flesh, and when a person is praying for healing, for example, it's not only you're asking from Hashem, but in this co-creative process through the level of dveikus, through the level of connectivity, you're actually creating reality, and you're saying, Baruch Atah Hashem, you are the Roifei Chol, you are actually the healer of flesh right now, because I'm in a state of dveikus, and then I'm imagining this idea of this person being healed, and I'm speaking the words of healing in a state of dveikus, and now that those words that I speak have this creative power, because speech is our creative power. Mostly speech contextualizes reality. It gives us a certain context of understanding reality. But ultimate speech, when speech is connected in dveikus, when it's connected to the source of all speech, to the source of life, to the creative process, then speech itself is a creative process. There's the abracadabra. There's the creating as we're speaking. Rava Bara Gavra, that through using the Sefer Yetzirah, the letters, through using the language, we're creating reality when we're in a state of dveikus. So to sum it up, what's the idea of manifesting, and how do we create realities in our world, in our lives that we wish to create? We need to first experience a true and genuine state of tefekus, of connectivity to our deepest level of our soul, and connecting to the Ein Sof, to connect to the infinite light of the Creator. Once we have that connection, and once we're plugged in, so to speak, we use our imagination, and to imagine the possibility of that reality coming into being, and then we speak about that reality. And the more we imagine and we speak about the reality, the more the reality becomes the truth. The more you believe that you're a blessing, the more you believe and you speak that my life is a blessing, the more you attract blessings in your life, the more you draw down blessings in your life. It's important to understand that actually the flip side of that, or the opposite side of that, God forbid, also works the same way. The more a person fears of certain things and apprehensive about certain things that are going to come about, and they're living with anxiety and fear of the future, of what's going to be, and the more you connect to that, the more actually you draw down that negativity, you draw down that apprehensive thought into your reality. The Gemara, Chazal, the sages speak about in the end of Horus, a few days, the Gemara speaks about this idea. And the Ramah also quotes this in Shulchan Aruch and the laws of Hilchos Shana Rabbah, that there's an idea about a person, whether looking at their shade, they're looking at their shadow, the shadow of their shadow, the buvu, the shadow of the shadow, whether it's any night or the night of Shana Rabbah, on the 30 days before a person passes on. But there's some mystical idea of looking at your shadow, which we spoke about at great length many times. There's this mystical idea of looking at your shadow. And then the Gemara says, and that's what the Shulchan Aruch or the Ramah rules, that even though this is mentioned in the Zohar, it's mentioned in the Ramban also, and it's mentioned by many of the Rishonim, specifically on Shana Rabbah night. But the Gemara says there that a person shouldn't do this because maybe you're not going to see what you're looking for. And it says that if you see your shadow, that means that your shadow means you're going to have a good year, you're going to live, you're going to have a prosperous year. If not, God forbid, it's the opposite. So maybe you're going to look to find what you're trying to look for, but you're not going to find it. And then you're going to feel bad. And then the feeling bad itself is going to make you feel even worse. And that's going to draw down negative mazel, negative luck, so to speak. In the language of Gemara, dilma chol shadaita. Maybe you're going to look for what you're looking for and you're not going to find it. Therefore, you're going to feel bad. Chol shadat. You're going to have a weakness of your das, a weakness of your awareness, and you're going to feel bad. And then umasr mazla, and then you're going to have negative mazel. You're going to have negative effects. So in other words, the fear of something happening negative in your life, and the more you think that something negative is actually going to happen in your life or in the world at large, not only in your life, in particular life, the more you draw down that negativity. That itself is what brings down that thing that you're apprehensive about occurring. So a person fears this thing is going to happen, and it's an unwanted fear, and it's not a rational fear, and it's a subconscious something, and it's really you're afraid that this negative things, you're going to lose your job, your relationship's going to end, and you actually have a good job, and your relationship is very wonderful, and whatever. You think the things, the ceiling is going to fall, and you have these negative feelings. The negative feelings itself is maser mazel. That brings negative mazel. That brings negative effects, which draws down this negativity as well. The Maharal in the Siva B'tachon, in the Path of B'tachon, in the first chapter, quotes a pasuk in Mishlei. In Proverbs it says, "Chedas adam yita moikish," that the worry of a person, the fear of a person, traps him. And someone that trusts Hashem will be safeguarded. So the Maharal says, which just means like this: when a person is afraid of something and afraid that this is going to happen, is apprehensive about a certain event or certain things that's going to happen, and it's not a clear and pleasant danger, it's not something that's real, but it's an imagine, and you imagine this continuously, and you're afraid that this is going to happen. So the cherdas adam, the fear of the man, is what entraps him, is what brings him down, is what's maser mazal, is what makes him is what draws down this negativity. So the negativity is drawn down because of the person that's fearful. When a person says, I'm afraid that this is going to happen, and there's no real rational reason to be afraid other than fear itself, and you're afraid that this is going to happen and that's going to happen in your life, then you draw down this negativity. Because the nature of the Creator's the nature of the Creator's is the nature of good is to give good. And when you have fear, what you're doing is you're drawing down fear. Just like when you have positive conceptions and positive imagination, and certainly positive speech, and positive chesha, positive desire, and positive imagination. You speak about the good things, and you draw down the good things. So then Baruch is Mustavik with Baruch. Then blessing becomes connected to the blessing. You believe that you're a blessing, and you think that you're a blessing, and you have imagination that you will be blessed, and you speak about it, then you draw down blessings. And God forbid the opposite. When you're fearful of something, and you're apprehensive about the future, and apprehensive about what your situation in life is, that actually, you say, my marriage is not working out, then the marriage doesn't work out. I'm going to lose my job. Then you actually lose your job. It's maser mazah chol daita. Your mind becomes weak, which means you don't have good tfeikas, good amunah, good faith, good bitachon, good trust. And then you're drawing down this negativity. Of course, the opposite, which is what we want to talk about, is meruba midatayva. This is certainly that a midatayva, a positive thing, is 100 times more positive, is greater, and goodness and kindness is greater in life. So everything that we do, we draw down, and through our imagination and through our speech, we create reality, and we draw down all the blessings. Just as one little small point that is important to this mention is that we shouldn't be, there's something Chazal speak about, there's an idea that the Gemara mentions a few times, in Shabbos, the idea of iyun tefillah. Iyun tefillah means, but one of the interpretations of iyun tefillah means, which is one of the things that a person is not nitzal b'chol yom, one of the things that a person stumbles every day, is iyun tefillah. And iyun tefillah means that you're waiting for your prayers to be answered. You have this imagination, and you have this speech, and you're creating this reality, and you're trying to manifest this reality in the state of dveikus. And then your iyun tefillah means, I'm waiting, and so when is it going to happen? So that's something we should let go of. Or in the language of the Baal Shem Tov, of Amat Echad Malmayla, that a person has to, when he talks about Boyal Teva, you have to enter into the Teva, enter into the letters of the Torah, enter into the world of speech and creativity through the power of speech, through the power of tefillah, through the power of prayer. It allows us to create, and we're speaking the words and creating the reality through the cheshek, through our desire, through our imagination, and through the speaking that we're speaking, and through all based on the premise that we're and the foundation that we're experiencing dveikus. But ultimately, after we speak alam techan, then we have to let go of the words and let go of the expectations. So this is kind of the paradoxical nature also, which is that we speak the reality, we're creating the reality through our thoughts, through dveikus, through connectivity to the creative power. We're experiencing the creative power in us, not just being the creation, but becoming part of the creator through dveikus. And in the state of dveikus, we have this imagination, that cell, the imagination, just like Adam created Chava and Hashem created us, B'tzalmenu, in his cell. We have this power within our own cell, with our own imagination, to create. And then we speak about our creations. But then there's also a level of bittul, a level of humility, which is, and then we just have to let go of our thoughts and not be stuck in finding in trying to or expecting the results to be fulfilled, because that in itself, that desire of always wanting, okay, so when is it going to be fulfilled, is actually what pushes it away itself. The expectations of when it's happening. So this is sort of like a letting go. I put it out into this world. I create it through my imagination, through dveikus, through connectivity, and through my imagination, and through the words that I speak. I create it, and then I just hope that it's going to happen. But I'm not stuck on that result and stuck on that, because sometimes we create things and we think that this is the right thing that's being created, but of course Hashem says that what we need to be creating is a little bit different and something different in your life, and ultimately Hashem will show us exactly what we need to be creating in our correct way. So that is Bekitza, that is sort of the, in short, what is the idea of the power of our thought process, the power of our imagination, and the power of our speech, all predicated on dveikus, on connectivity, of becoming connected to Hashem, and through that using this force in a healthy way, without the expectations, without the iyun tefillah. All right, have a wonderful day. Sei gesund.